members. Tiki here.
And BlueDragonFive.
You guessed it, we're back and feeling particularly nostalgic. Or more accurately, Nickstalgic. So much so, we're looking back to the live-action Nickelodeon movies of our youth, and who knows, maybe a few comebacks and surprises along the way for...
Nickelodemonth. Yes, folks, that's right, and we're here talking about Snow Day 2000. Well, no, it's not Snow Day 2000 because that'd be like a Kubrick movie. No, it's Snow Day, which was released in 2000. You have to make the delineation because you always look for this movie. It's like Snow Day. You're just going to hit random snow days. Yes, we're talking about Snow Day. One of the, I want to say it was after Good Burger. I think it was the third in the line of the Nickelodeon movies, not counting the animated ones. So I believe the third live action film they did. So it's early on.
That sounds about right, unless there's some obscure one we're forgetting about.
Like another Harriet the Spy, you know?
Right. Well, Harriet the Spy is just, that movie was literally made because, hey, Rosie O'Donnell's popular. All right, so Dragon, I have so much nostalgia for this one, like way more so than Good Burger, in all honesty. Because Good Burger is a lot of fun. It's, of course, I feel like I probably have more nostalgia for Good Burger as a concept on all that than I do for this movie. But I have more fond nostalgia for this movie than I do for the Good Burger movie. Mostly because the Good Burger movie was kind of like, even back when I first saw it, I was kind of like, well, it was good, but I will admit that the gag is kind of drawn out a little bit, so. But, Dragon, I gotta say, watching this thing, when that stupid Dumb Blonde song popped up in the credits, man, that didn't just give me nostalgia, Dragon. That was beyond nostalgia. That was straight up deja vu. Like, oh my god. That is like the summer of 2000 in a nutshell right there, my friend. For some random reason, Dragon, I'm pretty sure that I own the Snow Day soundtrack. If I didn't own it, then I know that the song would come on the radio all the time because I know that I am very familiar with the song, and I have not thought about this song like since I was a kid. And so, yeah, that song brought me back. It really brought me back.
All right.
Good times. All right, what's your nostalgia for this?
I too had a lot of nostalgia for this one, hence the reason we're covering it. So I tell you, this was again one of those memories from the early, I want to say the early HBO days for me. And those days are really definitely like big staples in kind of my nostalgic well, if you will. This is like we're talking about like I experienced El Dorado through those HBO days, that sort of thing. Like, and you basically had them there, you taped them, you had them on VHS tape, and that was kind of the closest thing you had for a while. But it was that early on. It was just basically these movies would happen. It'd be kind of a big event. It was kind of a bigger event than it is now. Now it's just really commonplace with the way these movies would just kind of come and go. But HBO was a big thing back then,
Mm-hmm.
So again, it was kind of in line of like, I like Nickelodeon. This to me was probably my first live action Nickelodeon movie, if I'm being frank. It's probably the very first one for me, even before Good Burger. So it was like, oh my god, it's like, it's not only is it a movie, it's just kind of like a movie on HBO. I'm gonna I'm taping it because it's a Nickelodeon movie. Awesome. So again, it took very little back then, I guess is what I'm saying, folks. But the fact of the matter is, I had fond memories of this movie. Mostly for just I gotta be honest, it's less. I had fond memories less because of the content of the movie, more for the overall kind of feel of fun and adventure of a snow day. I think just the relatability of it all, like being a kid, just like the whole, just kind of like the love of the snow day in the sense of adventure. And again, sometimes branding goes a long way, folks. I don't know how many other ways I can slice it here, where, it's like, hey, it's Nickelodeon kind of taking a stab at live action. It's kind of different than anything I would have seen with Nickelodeon at that time. It's not exactly kind of like a sketch comedy sort of thing. It's not animated. It's kind of, okay, taking a stab at just kind of doing an actual movie here. And
this is a way better movie than Good Burger.
Absolutely. Here's the thing. This movie has at least has a story. It has a story, and there's an attempt at a movie. And again, that's kind of the thing it has going for it. But I would argue again, at the end of the day, it's less about the story, because the story is quite generic when you really look at it years later. It is. But again, there's a lot of
Kind of
fun
like
to
just
be.
your basic like day in the life of story, told through like kind of a large cast of characters.
Exactly. My focus was really on Natalie's plight through the movie, like the Natalie story. And I think we're kind of simpatico in that. But it's just like, and I guess it's transitioned a little bit. Like now, in a certain respect, when I rewatched it, and it's been years since I've rewatched this, by the way, because you kind of know and you kind of feel. It's like, oh man, no one's gonna ever take away that feeling that I had with that Snow Day movie. It's like when I think Nickelodeon movies, like it's one of the ones that comes to mind. Not like the top five, but it's in there. It's like it kind of pops up. And I got to tell you, initially it held up better than I expected, and then of course it kind of lingers. And it's like, as I'm thinking, okay, well, this is way better than Good Burger, therefore it is better. And then it's like, well, yeah, it might be better than Good Burger. I don't know if that's saying much, though. So it kind of sinks in, like, you know what? I mean, like basically all the parts I loved as a kid with Natalie stuff. I mean, those stuff that kind of still held up, but everything else, on the other hand, is like, well, I mean, after a hesitation of like, oh, it's okay, it's playing, they realize it's playing, but I don't think it's playing well.
Yeah, I definitely echo your sentiments there. The Natalie Snowplowman stuff holds up super well, but the teen romance stuff, ooh boy. Hal 2019 called, and they've got a couple notes for you.
That is true. Let me put it this way. I guess just in simplistic terms here, like the bumper sticker thesis of the whole thing would be: it's a simple premise that works fine enough, not good, but fine enough.
Put that on the back of a VHS.
Yeah. So I'm saying it works. It works fine, not
It works
good,
fine,
but
not good, but
fine.
fine enough. Oh man. Okay, so let's dive
Yeah.
right into it. Let's get into Natalie's story. Oh man, just okay. What? Oh,
Think we're
background.
jumping
Right,
the
right. Sorry.
Anywho, so real quick, a little bit, just very little bit back, but really interesting, odd background though. You're gonna have to sit back for this one. It's really, really out of left field. I don't know if you know this, Tiki. Of course, I know you love this show, so I'm hoping to get maybe a reaction from you here, but I'm
Okay.
not gonna. I have no idea what's gonna happen. So originally, I had no idea about this either, so I really looked into the movie here. So originally, this was supposed to connect to a Nick series at the time. This was supposed to be a spin-off, essentially kind of a spin-off movie. Well, less like it was going to tie into a series, and that series was Pete and Pete.
Dragon, I think I don't love Pete and Pete. I probably have more nostalgia for it than you do. I mean, it's certainly not one of my favorite Nick shows of the era, but I could see the Pete and Pete of it all, though. This show has a very similar kind of vibe to it. And in general, I feel like the best of the live action Nickelodeon movies kind of emulate. Because the thing about Pete and Pete is, I feel like Pete and Pete is the most quintessential, like live action Nickelodeon series. And of course, this was done before Kenan and Kel. It was kind of like it set the groundwork for Kenan and Kel, if you will.
To an extent, I feel it was more at home with kind of the Eddie McDowell era of the Nick
Ugh.
shows, because you had like your sort of like, because you had your
It was more
sketchy.
watchable than Eddie McDowell, man. Come on, give it more credit.
Yeah, I have a lot of. Basically, I think here's where we skew. Take it's like the whole thing with Batman the Animated Series and Darkwing Duck. We kind of there was a fork in the road, and we both went different ways. I went the Batman the Animated Series right. You went
I mean,
the
look, I watched Eddie McDowell, but I really enjoyed Pete and Pete.
What I'm saying is, in terms of our enjoyment, here's the thing. It's not that I didn't like Pete and Pete. It's just I just didn't go towards it, and I went fully towards the Eddie McDowell route. Because like, oh my god, it's just like it's like it's a countdown show. It's
I
almost
mean,
like
you're
the
talking
Infinity.
about the beginning of the 90s and the beginning of the 2000s. Like, these shows kind of are separated by a decade, so.
That's okay. Fair point. You're right about that. Well, you know what I mean. The point being, like, I guess yeah, okay. Well, I guess my analogy is kind of breaking down here. What I'm saying is, I think for Eddie McDowell, like the thing that I kind of had going for it was like the countdown factor. We're like, oh, will he return to being a human? Will he make the, will he make? It's almost like the Infinity Train effect. Like, what's going to happen with the number? And but yeah, I'm sorry. Apparently the Ed McDowell thing is just kind of out of left field, I guess. In the grand scheme, it was a '90s show. So the point being, '90s versus early 2000s. I mean, I used to say Pete points. I'm kind of a novice when it comes to Pete and Pete. So I mean, you know more about the '90s. So I wonder if you got to get a kick out of that, I guess. But regardless,
Well, like I said, I do think that the strongest live action Nickelodeon movies kind of emulate Pete and Pete.
sure. Anyway, I guess what I was getting at is it's kind of narrative driven versus sketch and comedy driven. Like again, you have Keenan and Kel, which is very much kind of in the Abbott and Costello model or the Laurel and Hardy model, and then you have, of course, as a takeoff of your SNL sketch comedy with all of that. Of course, it's kind of bridging all from that vein of things. And Pete and Pete was kind of a taste of what they would go towards later. We have let's have like kind of a maybe not narrative, but again, kind of a cross between a narrative and a sitcom. It's kind of a cross.
Right.
Anyway, so the big mystery of this,
I think Pete. You know what? This is the more accurate comparison for Pete and Pete, Dragon.
All right, hit me with it.
It was the predecessor to Drake and Josh.
There you go. Yes,
Yeah.
there you go. All right.
All right.
Well, it's still kind of a 2000 reference, so maybe it's I don't know. Maybe it's.
But
not
still, like I feel like it's a much more similar show to Drake and Josh than it is to Eddie McDowell, because Eddie McDowell is a lot more high concept.
Fair enough. I mean, I have worse comparisons, but I'm not going to bore you with. I was going to throw out like Little Romeo, but let's not go down that route. All right. Anyway, so my point is, here's the fascinating thing. Here's kind of the mystery of it all here. So this was initially slated to be a kind of a movie based on Pete and Pete, kind of a Nickelodeon property. They had kind of already kind of figured out and everything. And I don't know if it was either because of how Good Burger performed, where again financially performed great, but but critically didn't go so well. I'm not sure if it was because of that or what. It was either that or just they basically the actual reason they gave for why they didn't go with Pete and Pete was that they opted for something a little bit more of a one-off, a little bit more of like you don't have to know the series to know the movie, I guess. They didn't want that. That's the sell they gave. But I wonder if Good Burger, bear in mind, this is like what they're doing presumably after Good Burger. So I don't know how much that factored into in terms of like, the last time we tried something that's based on kind of an existing thing on the channel, we it didn't go the way we hoped it would go. Or it made money, but we hoped it might have some longevity where we can maybe do that Good Burger 2 sequel. Who knows? Point being, it's questionable like what exactly led to that, and the real mystery element of it all is how far in the production they got with the Pete and Pete concept. That's what's fascinating, because the people who worked on this movie were Pete and Pete alumni, which makes me think they were deeply prepared for, like, okay, we're going to do that's something really interesting, like how long in development it was. And I wonder if maybe the movie might have played better if it were in the Pete and Pete vein before it was in kind of the original character vein. That's what interests me.
I mean, I could definitely see the split where like Little Pete would have had the role of Natalie, and the stuff with Hal definitely would have been the Big Pete storyline.
Exactly. And I believe in the very little I have seen of Pete and Pete, the mother's kind of a character too. She goes off and does stuff.
She is, yeah.
So we might maintain some of that in there. Of course, we might have lost like the third child, of course, but you never know.
My only question mark is, where does Artie, the strongest man in the world, fit in?
It's a fair point.
Because Artie is my favorite part of Pete and Pete.
It would be bear in mind, I'm a little sketchy on that character, but I would imagine maybe he's like one of the friend characters for Little Pete, maybe.
Yeah, Artie, the smartest man, the strongest man in the world, is a man, Dragon, not a little kid.
Well, now I feel stupid, but again, I know. Again, I know very little. I thought it was like like a cutesy name, like he's a man, but he's really just
well, I mean, to be fair, he's kind of like a Pee Wee Herman style man child, but yeah, he is a full grown adult.
Right.
Artie, anyway, the strongest man in the world.
See, I remember that line. I never really saw it in context. Either you pulling it or seeing it on the splats sometimes. These like, Artie, the strongest man in the world. Okay, anyway, but all seriousness, so again, like they had, I believe, the director and the writers, which were the writing team of Will McRobb and Chris Viscardi. They were the writing team. They had done, they done Pete and Pete. They written a few of my favorite shows too. They did Pete and Pete, but they also did Kablam, and I love me some Kablam. Kablam, they did Ren and Stimpy, they did Doug. So they had some fingerprints.
Also, something that I learned about Dragon, just to kind of make an amendment to our Good Burger podcast.
All right.
Do you remember that when? Well, I don't think you saw it in theaters, but when Good Burger premiered in theaters, there was an Action League Now short that was in front of it.
I heard about that. I've seen that episode, but I heard about it. Yes, and I would have mentioned that on the other one. I figured, it's too obscure. What's it gonna matter if we bring it up? But
no, I thought just because we're mentioning Kablam now, I thought it'd be worth bringing up. Anyways,
I do love me some Action League Now. Probably my favorite sketch in all of Kablam.
But, and Meltman with the power to
melt. Tiki, I have nostalgia for Action League Now that would be so pathetic you would. I have the most pathetic nostalgia you've ever heard about Action League Now, but I won't bore you with it.
All right.
And it was directed by I believe Chris Koch, if I'm pronouncing that right. Who had done Pete and Pete, who actually I believe co-created. The writers, I believe the writers are the co-creators of Pete and Pete. So I believe they were the brains behind that show. The point thing, it was very Pete and Pete centric in terms of the creation, the writing on it. Of course, it was shot in Wisconsin as well as Canada. Oh, Canada! It was shot there. Oddly, there was a lot of fake snow though. Tons and tons of fake snow as well as kind of like snow blowers and such. And let's see. Of course, by sheer coincidence, I'm not sure if it's because of the way this movie. I'm not sure if it's because of this movie or not. But I believe across the pond, I believe it was a Disney production. I'm not sure. I want to say it was. I know it's played on the Disney Channel so many times. I can only assume it was a Disney movie.
Oh, I know what you're going to mention.
Yes, of course. So Josh Peck and the girl who plays Natalie, Xena Gray, the two of them were repaired together in Max Keebler's Big Move.
Yeah, and you know what the really weird, surreal thing about that is?
What?
I believe that Xena Gray plays a character who has a crush on Max Keebler, but Max Keebler is, or Keeble, I'm sorry, not Keebler. Max Keeble is, like, trying to get with, like, the popular girl in school, but this best friend character, like, has a crush on her. Pretty much exactly like how the love story in Snow Day plays out.
Oh,
so it's kind of like there's like a bizarre parallel there.
Yeah, you're right. It is Keeble. I don't know what I was thinking if I said Keebler, but
no. I said Keebler, not Keeble.
Right. Anyway, so but you're right. It's a tangled web that we weave.
Yeah, it's a really bizarre parallel.
We should wonder if because it's a year later. That's the thing. It's a year later. So in terms of the production schedule, I have no idea. Presumably, especially with these types of movies, they would have just spent a year on it. Therefore, it wouldn't be like the whole they were shooting at the same time or anything. I don't know. One last little. Here's a weird thing. Okay, you're not going to believe this.
I just remember Josh Peck lecturing Max Keebler in that movie, she likes you, Max, and you don't see it. Josh Peck was trying to be all dramatic.
And Josh Peck with yet another gimmick role. Where here the gimmick, of course, is it's less than savory. In the next gimmick, it's a robot time. I believe his gimmick in Keeble was that he wears a robe all the time for some reason.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. I believe he also weird medical condition in Keeble.
Yeah, probably.
Anyways,
of course, here's the thing you're not going to believe. All right, I found this out. I still find it a little suspect, but it sounds so awesome. I want it to have happened.
Oh God!
When they were shooting this, so I don't know whether it was when they were shooting in Canada or Wisconsin. And I'm going to assume I think they shot most of it in Canada. So let's see, I believe they shot in Alberta and somewhere else in Canada. The point is they shot in Canada. Anyway.
I would check out because a lot of Nick productions shot in Canada.
Of course. So when they're shooting, presumably in Canada, there was a bank heist that transpired.
Oh God!
And the robbers, I want to say in their getaway car, the robbers, they're trying to make their getaway, and they basically drove by and drove onto the set.
Oh no! Oh God!
And in the
well, it's okay. We got Snowplowman. We're good. Snowplowman will take it down.
A part of me wishes this was yet another Nick movie, or the movie almost in place of this movie in spots, where basically robbers that it feels like art imitating life, like Nick robbers here. Right. They have some bumbling robbers. So there's a bank heist. They steal the money, they get in the car, they make their way, and they kind of drive onto the set, and they drive into the fake snowbanks and they're caught.
Oh God! Oh God!
Assuming awesome. That story is true, that is amazing, and I so I so wish they drove into a giant snowdrift and they were arrested. It was delightful. It sounds like.
Oh man. All
Okay,
right,
that's
good
the end
stuff.
of the
Good stuff.
background. Okay, anyway, without further ado,
That was
folks,
genuinely some of the most fun background we've had on anything in a while, Dragon.
that is true.
All right.
All right, without further ado, folks, we're going to kind of break down kind of let's say our A story and kind of our subsects of B story. So let's just break it down here with like the real star of the movie, Natalie.
Yeah, well, I mean, before we even get into Natalie, Dragon, I don't want to bury the lead any longer. I want to talk about Snowplowman.
Yeah, no, he of course, even though it's been years, of course, the most memorable part of this movie easily.
Snowplowman is easily the most iconic part of this movie.
I think Snow Day, and the reason I think of that Natalie story and I reflect so well on it is Snowplowman. Can't beat him.
And you know what? It holds up. It really does.
That he does. That he does. So Chris Elliott, the wonderful Chris Elliott, playing the very, very disgusting, but still by the same token, very comically menacing Snowplowman. A guy who takes his job so seriously that he's going to become he's going to be urban mythologized himself in the hearts and minds of children all across the block.
Dragon, here's the thing. It's like it's been a long time since I've seen this movie, so I was kind of wondering if they were going to go the Home Alone route and kind of make it like, no, Snowplowman's actually like a lonely old man who just wants someone to...
He's the opposite of that. He's the anti-shoveling neighbor. He's the anti-shoveling neighbor.
Oh, God.
It's like, what if that character had no growth, no art whatsoever, and we just made the shovel into this giant menacing thing that reflected the myth?
Oh man. Of course he has that bird. Remind me the name of the bird.
Trudy. You know why?
Trudy, right.
Tiki, again, then I would not have had this connect, but years later with another show that I really love. Of course, now when I think Trudy, I can't help but think of Monk a little bit. Of course, Monk, the titular character, Adrian Monk, he had a wife who was killed, and her name was Trudy, and it was a big. There was all the basically all the emotional, really legitimately awesome stuff from Monk came from the Trudy story, and it's like as funny as that show is. All the somber stuff's like all the drama is the Trudy stuff, and of course, looking back on this, it's like, oh, we named the bird Trudy.
I mean, to be fair, the most dramatic stuff that Snowplowman gets does relate to Trudy.
That's what I'm saying. It's kind of like it's kind of the unspoken rule. Trudy is just kind of where all the dramatic love is in a piece now.
In a way, Trudy is kind of like the better developed version of Whiplash's parrot from Iron Man 2.
In a sense, I always thought it was stupid the way they went with that bird thing. Where again, like, well, just why would he? He doesn't like the bird. Now he likes the bird. What's going on? Anyway, like, why couldn't they just? Justin Hammer, with all his money, he couldn't just go to Russia and get the same bird? Really? Anyway, sorry, we're getting off track anyways. So about Trudy. Or to quote the Proud Family.
Can I mention the creepiest scene that Snowplowman has?
There are a few of them. Go on.
Okay, I think the creepiest scene is when he shows up at the mother's door.
That is creepy. It's a little.
And he's like trying to get the location of Natalie by saying that he's got like this long list of kids who want the snowplow rides.
The scene's a little stupid, but more creepy than stupid. It's stupid in the sense of she really doesn't pick up on the fact. Again, it's stupid for comedic purposes. I can't be too harsh on it, but still, it's like you're right. It is creepy. Like, oh god, I completely forgot about this rewatching. Me like, oh god, he shows up at the doorstep. And again, of course, the kid in the plow is screaming.
Yeah, Josh Peck is in there, like, trying to spell out help on the fog of the windows.
Of course, it's backwards, so she's just, how should not put that together? Oh, yes, but I'll go. So, of course, one of my favorite details, of course, we have Trudy the bird, which in itself is great. And, of course, I completely forgot that he nicknamed the snowplow Clementine.
Oh my god, yes.
Of course, like sprawled on the front, my darling Clementine. That's his Jaws. That's his theme song. It's the he sings my darling Clementine. He comes around. Of course, remember like the mythology around the urban mythology around the snowplow, where some say the kids that he chases down with braces didn't make it, and the chains are like the snow chains on the plow. So the point is, the Snowplowman he held up.
I love all those details because all those details about him are just so kid-like. You know, they are exactly what a kid would come up with for an urban legend like that.
Exactly. And of course, the great thing with the Snowplowman and just his purpose here is that again, it's very Kids Next Door esque for the folks out there. It's very the adult just has it's a very mundane thing, but we just kind of added this like kid versus adult level to the whole thing, and of course the whole shebang of it all is very mundane when you look at okay, Snowplowman wants to do his job. Here's where we make things entertaining. He's sadistically good at doing his job.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really a whole ton of depth to him. He really likes his job, and he just really wants to do a good job at that. And he's not going to let some snot-nosed kids stand in the way.
Yep. All right, so let's backtrack a little bit here. Let's talk about again what gets us to kind of the main plot with like why the Snowplowman's even in this movie aside from the fact there's snow. Let's backtrack a little. Talk about Natalie and the story overall here.
Yeah.
So of course Natalie
the
overall.
Bird, the Wayne, the Bird, the Wayne.
Oh god, that's funny. Anywho, so of course I overall the Natalie, the Natalie Branson story here. It's kind of you got a youthful fun in the winter setting. The whole we have gags like the school closure gag, like they see the parents and the children have very different reactions to when schools close for the snow. Of course, it's like the parents are dreading and the kids like it's a great sequence there. And again, this is just for me, and I think for you, and I think for a lot of people, this is the more direct sell of the piece. When you think of this, you're thinking of all the fun, absurd, kind of the stuff that breeds Nickelodeon at its nostalgic core in live action is this sort of stuff,
Sure, the snowball fights, the sledding, all that good stuff.
I think one of my favorite things in the movie still is just I love the idea. I think it's such a whimsical idea where they have a cooler full of snowballs that they've saved up from the last snowfall they used to throw at people they don't like the principal, and of course like the jelly filled snowballs is ingenious.
Okay, I have a little side rant I have to go on about the principal, right?
Okay, Tiki, don't get into the sad don't get into the sad elements of the print. I looked it up. I called it. He was the guy I was thinking of.
Yeah, he's Iggy Pop, I know, but
no, he's not Iggy Pop. You're thinking.
Oh, I'm sorry. Who does Iggy Pop play?
Iggy Pop's the DJ.
Oh, right. Okay. So how
Get
old
it?
is this? How? Yeah, right. How old is this? How old is this poor man that plays the principal dragon?
Let's see. God, I had the number exactly. Let's see. I mean, currently this actor. So this actor, by the way, for just a little fun, of Christine and I covered this show with Gotham. He was, I believe, the second warden in Gotham, the one like towards like season 4, I think, when they reintroduced the Scarecrow. Anyway, point being, this guy's been in House of Cards. He's been in stuff. He was I believe, currently he's 57. This goes back 19 years. So that's about
okay. So he was in his late 30s then.
I think late 30s.
Okay, so Dragon, in 10 years, in a mere decade, I am going to be old enough to play the principal that all the kids hate and throw snowballs at.
I'm gonna tell you,
Dragon, that's my life 10 years from now.
Well, way to bring everyone down. We're trying to look fondly on the past, sir. God. So Principal Weaver is his name, and the actor's Damian Young. That's the name I was looking for.
Okay.
Damian Young. Also, I remember he was on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia as well. The point being, this is a good actor, too. He's kind of a fun, dry sort of actor, that guy. Anyway.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I do like all the production that goes into the snowballs because they really fire a lot of snowballs at this poor man from all directions, and so I'm just impressed by the quantity of snowballs that they throw at him.
I love the commitment to it. The fact that this guy, he dreads a snow day because the kids throw snowballs at him because he's the principal, and purely for that reason. He just can't clear off his car, even when, of course, by the button gag at the end was pretty funny, where they're all inside his house and they bombard him with snowballs. It's terrifying, but it's hilarious. Uh-huh. That's what I'm saying. We have the snowball charm of the whole piece. If you ever had the summarize, it's the snowball charm of
snowballs.
Snowball. Yes, exactly. Anyway, so let's see. Anyway, so let me see. Of course, when I think kind of fondly on the Natalie story of it all. So, basically, it's a little girl who dreams of snow during the hottest winter on record. It's just the girl is a very simple, very relatable dream. We all kind of long. Basically, usually when there's a chance of snow, we're all longing for snow the next day, so we don't have to go to school. It's like the whimsy of it all, and I think the movie taps into that. The girl's kind of clever. She's a part of me wants as if she's an aspiring meteorologist, just really dialed into the snow day because she has that little Mr. Predictor thing, which I thought I was geeking out the Mr. Predictor thing. Oh my god, they made like a little weather predictor thing to the door. But I don't know if it's a real thing, but I wish it was. It's just so darn precious. And just important.
I feel like the Natalie character really taps into the kind of like kid empowerment message of Nickelodeon that they were so good at back in the day.
Yeah. It's just a little girl obsessed with the lack of snowfall. You're absolutely right, though. Yeah, it's kind of like what we get later with like Big Fat Liar and stuff. Or I guess maybe early. Yeah, Big Fat Liar's in the early 2000s. It was 2003.
Big Fat Liar was later than this. Yeah.
I want to say 2003 if I'm just going to throw it out.
That's 2002, 2003-esque.
Yes,
yeah, that's
one of those.
Right, somewhere in
one
there.
One of them. Okay. One of these days, I'm surprised
they blend together, Dragon. Years blend together because I'm old.
We've never talked about that, have we?
No, we have not.
One of these days, we got to get to that one.
One of the forgotten Paul Giamatti roles.
I know, because anyway, so there's
Paul Giamatti before he was an Oscar winner.
That's kind of the ultimate crossover of our stuff here, because one you have in the Nick. Wait, was it at all Nickelodeon production?
No, I'm pretty sure it was. I want to say it was Disney.
I don't think it was. I thought it was. Here's the thing: we go to Universal, therefore it must be Universal.
Oh, it could be. It's probably Universal then. It's probably.
The point being, you have a movie that
feels like Universal trying to emulate Disney or emulate Nickelodeon. I mean.
Okay, regardless, I think I think it feels so Nickelodeon. The point being, it feels very nostalgic, as well as the theme park. Kind of the backlot connect of it all. I guess.
Yeah, if they go to Universal Studios, then it.
I know that because I remember all the Grinch. They have the Grinch in that movie and everything. Anyway, sorry. Getting back on track. So, point is, you have we tap into kind of the kid empowerment all, but also I like. It's only one scene, Tiki, but I don't know why the scene's always stuck with me, kind of the heart of the movie, because again, daps into this again that kind of gets the level of just you're in that kid's shoes. The scene she has with her father.
Mm-hmm.
She has one real scene with her father. There, basically, it's a father and daughter both having kind of a hope for a big change, and of course have the connective weather between the two of them. She wants it to snow, and he, of course, is a weatherman. And of course, is the snow globe a little on the nose? Sure, but who cares? It's a nice little moment. It's a little heartfelt moment. Just kind of always when I think of like the heart of the piece, I'm always thinking of that as well as the wintry fun.
All right. Let's see. Anything else to say about Josh Peck?
Yeah, that's thing we should probably talk about the friends here. Of course, Chet's the mastermind behind the snowballs. Doesn't do much outside of that, but we have just kind
Chet is very forgettable.
Just Chet's the kid with the hat and the snowballs. It's about all Chet's got. He does a little funky dance when he's like, no school. That's about it. That's all he's got. But yeah, Josh Peck, of course, the wonderful Josh Peck from Drake and Josh. Basically, the closest thing we had to his successor to Keenan and Kel was probably Drake and Josh. Would you agree? Of course, Drake and Josh, wonderful show.
I just missed Drake and Josh, but I've since gone back and watched some episodes of that. Like, I don't have a huge nostalgic connection to Drake and Josh the way a lot of other people do, but I respect it for sure.
Oh yeah, it's I can't say enough nice. There are many nice things to say about Drake and Josh. I don't know if it will hold up as well looking back at it, but it's just there's a lot of good stuff there. Back when Drake Bell was affiliated with Quality Work. Anyway,
wait, what terrible stuff is Drake Bell in?
Well, I mean, Drake Bell is just kind of sided with being Spider-Man and Marvel's animation stuff. It's just not.
Oh, okay. Nothing
against him. It's
That's
just
a whole other can of worms that you know about.
Yeah, you know what I mean. It's like the whole Marvel animation. Hopefully, What If will change all this, mind you.
Yeah.
The whole Marvel animation on TV wasn't quite cutting the mustard, and he was basically the face of the Ultimate Spider-Man stuff, which.
Not
point
good,
being, not entirely his fault, but he's not helping the matter. And of course,
right.
Rounded back to Nickelodeon, of course, live action Timmy Turner.
Oh yeah, sure.
So that's not helping him either.
It really isn't. No.
That's the more accurate. Okay, point being, so Josh Peck, however, of course, Josh Peck, he actually did, he had like a guest appearance on The Big Bang Theory, but the big thing that he had done for a while, he was on a show with John Stamos' grandfather, which actually wasn't bad.
Okay.
Wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. Anyway,
just like this movie.
One could say. So he plays Wayne, and Wayne, well, he's kind of in the Chris Farley school of acting.
The Wayne!
He's kind of in the Chris Farley famously had a saying, I guess, between all kind of heavy comedians within the field, especially the SNL years, where there's kind of an abridged term for like kind of the funny fat guy. It's fatty falls down. That's kind of comedy you have going on there, and we have a version of that here where we have kind of the fatty falls down comedy. In this case, it's more like farty falls down. That's kind of what we have more accurately here. Where
yeah, way too many fart jokes with Josh Peck in this movie for sure. Like, and not well timed fart jokes at all.
Yep, I mean, I think he's legitimately funny when he's like making chit chat with the Snowplowman. I think we underutilized Josh Peck, and of course, Josh Peck can be even in his youth very funny. And of course, the Amanda Show, of course, the Al Dente, it's not the Al Dente, where his catchphrase, like, Donnie, it's the Al Dente brothers. Sorry, I'm thinking of the whole Tony Pajamas sketch from the Amanda Show. But the point being, like, Josh Peck is a truly gifted, hilarious performer. I feel we underutilized him here, or basically we just made him.
I feel like Amanda Show was his high point. I think, at least in terms of comedy.
Sure, of course. That and Drake Josh was able to spread his wings a little. Basically, he was able to do a little.
Oh yeah, Drake and Josh. I kind of think of it more dramatically in Drake and Josh. Honestly,
that's what I'm saying. He was able to stretch more than that in terms of comedic highlights. I guess you're right. Anyways, it's kind of like the Belushi years for Josh. Peck, like in terms of like him and his like Chewbacca, that sort of stuff. Anyway. But you see what I'm getting. Basically, we underutilized him. We just made him like a visual joke. And I feel if we made this movie today, which again, they're obviously, as you know, when we get to the B story, but there's a lot of things we'd have to change today. But you know what I mean? If going back, I don't think we would just like stereotype him as like, okay, so he's a visual gag, he's a visual punchline. Again, he's the fatty falls down comedy. Where okay, he's running around with his pants down. He has like the underoos, and it's ridiculous. And it's still like, why are we doing this? And like, why? Basically, where's the comedy outside of like Wayne the hostage is legitimately funny. Wayne the farting every which way, and these are obviously added in the aftermath. Like, how can we punch this scene up? I know. Hit the fart button. So poor Josh Peck is kind of a casualty of kind of when they're running low on fumes, let's say, to kind of make it simpatico. Okay. Anyway, speaking of a little bit of Snowplowman, I guess. A truly menacing, again, pretty the fart noise. The really one of the menacing scenes, the whole ketchup thing. It's just so demented with what he does there. Basically, Murray just shows up and he has like these really nasty looking fries that he's dipping in the ketchup. They usually kind of feign that, oh god, he's either hit a kid or there's this kid like lying in wait for the end in front of the snowplow. And it's just like he's screwing with his head as we have like the dramatic hostage exchange with Trudy the bird, ultimately. And that's as you mentioned, like, Trudy the Wayne. So yeah, there's a lot of build up and menace with the snowplow, man. Let me tell you a scene that really freaks me out still to this day.
Oh, okay.
Right. This is a thing nostalgically with me. Of course, the thing that always affects me. Of course, you know me. I'm freaked out by, of course, the removal of fingers and stuff. And
yes.
I think the more innocent version, if you want to distill the fear down, I want to sit down on the therapy couch for a second, I think it's losing things that can never be regained again. I think it's the deeper root of the fear. I've always kind of had that, where like when you lose items of importance, as in my youth, it was more like before it was like losing fingers and everything. It's more like when you lose items of great importance that you're not going to get back again. And not saying we have it to the same degree, but still, the fact is, like, I love the snow fort as a concept. The idea of the snow fort is like they slide down there, this nice little kind of setup there is really nice and cozy. You have the video games and the little TV, the little lava lamp and everything. It's a nice, cozy little set. It's a beautiful little set, man. It's like, oh, man, I always loved that as a kid. Of course, when the Snowplowman comes around and destroys that, two things. One, again, the direct thing as a kid, and I still have somewhat today, is like, oh, man, that was a sweet-looking fort and destroyed all that stuff in there. That's not nice, man. It's a shame. And of course, the more horrifying implication is, oh my god, it's basically whenever I get into that snow fort scene on the rewatch, it's like, oh god, I love that scene, but there's such a precarious thing, as if something goes on top of them, or if that snowplow goes in there, it's going to be, those kids can be in mortal danger. There's great stakes in that place. It's a very dangerous location, by as beautiful a location as it is, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's see. Two things. One thing you're going to love to get to, okay? But one thing real quick. You know, with the whole hostage negotiation, there's a bit of kid logic in here. We have the breakdown of it, where you have the it's got the breakdown. Like, yeah, it's kid logic, but the negotiations breakdown. Let's get 3 snow days. Yeah, let's do that. They just really we kind of. Sorry, let me rephrase it here. You notice how the story kind of peters out for both the A story and the B story in this movie?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
And I feel that moment is when the negotiation breaks down. You're okay, they get Wayne back, and of course, due to kid logic, which again is not a problem with the movies. Okay, I didn't really think of like how are we going to ensure the Snowplowman doesn't plow anything for the day? How are we gonna after we deliver the bird back? How are we gonna
It's
secure that?
almost as if they kind of forget the fact that they had a deal with Snowplowman, or more accurately, the movie forgets about it.
Exactly. Again, it's the logic of there's no way we're going to be able to hold our end of the bargain to give him the bird back with the hostage of it all. But again, it's the problem that after that happens, Snowden just goes back on his merry way of doing things, and our guys have no way to stop him at that moment. So basically, the movie, the whole story kind of peters out at that point where, yeah, things are hopeless and the movie's over. And at the end of the movie, he succeeds at plowing all but one street. So again, it is kind of over. It's like, well, wow, that's kind of anticlimactic.
Yeah.
So the other thing is again the pep talk. We got to talk Tiki. One most the short of the Snowplowman as a whole. The scene that sticks out to me most, the most random scene that sticks out to me most in this entire film,
Oh God.
is the stop motion action figure scene.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Oh man.
And of course,
Kind of a little bit of a shade to Action League now.
a little bit, a little bit. Bear in mind, those figures barely did stop motion, but you know, but yes, it at various. I think it's why it stuck out to me most as in my youth. Like, oh my god, so much like Action League now, awesome. You know, we have like Meltar, Doctor Freon, Fangor. They were kind of cool names for the action figures. Yeah, give them that.
Uh-huh.
The point being, yeah, how do you feel about the scene? I mean, what do you think?
I mean, it does come out of nowhere. Like, they don't really like how much setup does it even get? I don't remember much of it.
Okay, the setup is that that Hal has these action figures. He's kind of going to sell off as collectibles one day. Has them like a nice little case and everything. And she plays with them. And he tells, "Hey, don't play with those." And we set that up. And she just brings one of the action figures with her. She shows with her friends, and then that's about it. So she returns the action figure, and then we have this scene. So it's really two scenes, more like one scene than like, hey, it's there. So basically this is the pep talk. It's the low of lows moment. We get a pick me up from Eltar, and it's just this really. As a kid, I was like, oh my god, this animation's so wonderful. Look at this. Of course, bear in mind it was a different time, folks. It was like, hey, we're doing this doing some stop motion with with action figures. That's awesome. And of course, what's actually happening here is just it's really. I don't know if it's good or not, Tiki. That's what I'm saying. I don't think it's good, but it's just kind of like.
I don't think it is either. I mean, it's entertaining, it's funny, it's kind of, it's kind of enigmatic how out of nowhere it comes, but it's not good per se. It doesn't really belong in the movie.
That's what I mean. It's like I'm kind of it's like a car wreck. I'm kind of entranced by it though. It's like I kind of have to. I don't know. I'm liking it though, even though it's not really good at all. Just like we have this. I remember the whole winners never quit whole thing. Like, winners never quit and quitters. That's not how the saying goes. No, winners never quit and quitters get cast into the flaming pit of death. It's all sorts of ridiculous and basically gives her the idea of like gather your forces versus the common enemy, that sort of stuff. So it's point being all the fun stuff, whether it be insane or just like all the fun stuff is in the Natalie story. I think we can summarize it that way.
All right.
Okay.
Oh boy. So yeah, let's look. I get what they were going for with the Hal storyline. All right, it's like sometimes. Sometimes the right person is right under your nose the whole time, and the harder you try, the worse off you look. And I honestly can kind of relate to that to a certain extent, because the two relationships I've had are not necessarily even ones that I've tried to have. They're just kind of ones that kind of came naturally. So, Dragon, I like the message of this story. All right, I want to emphasize that. I like where this story ends up, but oh man, is it problematic getting there, man? All the obsessing over the Claire character, it just does not play well in 2019 at all.
Okay, well here's the thing. So bridging on to that, so look, the Hal story. So the idea is we're taking the adventure of the miracle of a snow day. This thing just kind of happened where he was not precedented to happen, so it kind of encourages Hal to kind of take a chance there and just kind of like go forward with it. I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to try to win the girl of my dreams on a snow day, nonetheless. And this story, unfortunately, even in 2000, this story had been there, done that. We've seen this story all over the place back then, and now we can't. Now, if we do that story, now there are ethical questions that come into play. How we tackle that story? Where
Well, I
again,
mean, specifically the whole thing where he obsesses over this girl so much that he knows things about her that are probably kind of creepy in retrospect.
again, what they're going for, that again, even though again it could be gotten away with back then, but more accurately, again, this was a story that this is the most been there, done that cliche thing of it all. Again, it's not saying it makes it worse or anything, but it does. It's just something we've seen 100 times, and it doesn't help, especially looking at years back. Oh god, I've seen this done so many times. Where again, like the right girl's by under his nose, and he's too stupid to realize it. And what they're getting at is that it is somewhat relatable. Again, somewhat at some point in time, everyone through their lives they probably had this at least at one moment in their lives. So yeah, as much as it's relatable with with Natalie's side of things, with the snow day, like you love the obsessor of the snow day, you're hoping for the snow day. Hal has a similar thing where again he's shooting for the stars with the wrong girl, where again the right girl's under his nose. So the point being, everyone's kind of it's a relatable thing, but as you mentioned, Tiki, again, I don't mean to sound like broken right here, but it does break down. And let me tell you something I do like about it, though, visually. I love that pool. Okay. I love how that pool scene is shot, man. I still love how that pool scene is shot. It was always something kind of, I can't say, I don't know why. It's just when you associate a movie, I think it's just so primal like this, where you associate a movie so much with snow, you don't expect pools. You don't expect going to a pool and just kind of like, we're in kind of a very different kind of location here at the start of this movie. Where, okay, we're in a pool, kind of like you associate a little bit more with summer and stuff, I guess. Bear in mind, it's an indoor pool there, but I don't know why. It just always kind of stuck out to me. And then, of course, visually, where he just falls in the pool and he just sinks to the bottom and he finds the bracelet. Again, I'm not crazy what happens with the bracelet later, but I do love the discovery of the bracelet in that scene. It's kind of like, okay,
I think that the real turning point with this character is that after the rejection with the bracelet, he really should have gotten the hint. I mean, it doesn't take him that much longer to get the hint, but still, it's not a good. I mean, the whole thing is just not a good look. You know what I mean? It's basically a textbook, like, hey, here's not what to do when seducing a girl. It's like, this is how you don't want to come across.
And look, to be fair, you got to remember, Tiki, this storyline in itself is always a flawed story, no matter how you slice it. Rarely is a story not a flawed story. The idea of, again, well, every time you do this story, you're always going to be at the end of the movie or the end of whatever you're watching and realize, like, why is this character so stupid not to realize that the right girl's been under his nose the whole time? It's an intrinsically flawed story. And
believe it or not, Dragon, they even play the same shit with that new Beatles movie Yesterday.
Yep, that's what I'm saying. It's like, again, it's a trope that exists, and it doesn't help that, again, we've seen it multiple times. And again, I'm not fully taking that, I'm not trying to fully rail that against this movie, but it's a fact. And this thing, when you look back on, especially, again, nostalgia is definitely a factor with what we're looking into, especially with the first two we're going to cover here. Regardless, what I had with the bracelet, I think for me the breakdown was a little earlier in the movie. After you kind of fully digest it, and kind of occurs to you, where when he finds the bracelet, to me, I'm thinking, my mindset's like, okay, it's kind of like the Charlie Brown, like discovering the little red-haired girl's pencil. Therefore, our character, again,
it is like that, yeah.
At the start of things, okay, we have our assumedly kind of in a sense of love, our Charlie Brown figure who's going after the little red-haired girl. He's going to return the item, which was usually a pencil. In this case, it's a bracelet. Oh, that's fine. Then, of course, we get to the bedroom scene. That's where things start to break down.
Okay.
Where he's sniffing the bracelet, and then he's wearing the bracelet, and it's like, okay, now we've...
Oh, yeah, that right there is just like, put horror movie music over that, and you got yourself a horror movie trailer right there.
That's where things start to. And again, like, I think what they're going for is they're trying to get through. If they're going for anything, which I'm giving them too much credit here, is that we're trying to have the transitions of youth. He's a young man, but again, we can only do so much. But the point being, we play it as a weird moment, but it still comes across as, guys, we can't be that ambitious with this. Okay, we can't. If they're going for that, we can't work that in there. Again, this feels like a gag that may have played better if it were Pete and Pete, but then again, I don't know. I might be giving it too much credit there. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
They're really gonna anyway. It's really one to call out here. Claire Bonner. That's the best last name they could have come up with. Claire Bonner.
Yeah, as soon as I saw that on the closed captions, I was like, wait, really?
The movie with fart jokes, and we couldn't have come up with something better than Claire Bonner.
What do you think of the boyfriend character? I already forgot his name.
Here's the thing. I know it's not Chet. I
Oh
wanted it to
God.
be Chet because I was thinking of Weird Science. I wanted it to be Chet, but it wasn't. It's God. It's I think it's darn it. Because here's the thing. I wanted. Here's the thing. Chad is not the name of this character, but it would have fit our evil Chad moniker. We have a different evil Chad. That we do have an evil Chad, but not this guy.
uh,
I think it's something with a C. I'm not sure, but it's God. It's I'm sorry. I'm blanking on it, but it's
well, we don't need to dwell on it. It's not
Point
really
being,
that
we have just kind of like our cliche boyfriend character.
generic bully.
Yeah,
Nickelodeon generic bully number 12. That's what he's listed as in the credits.
yes. Okay, regardless, so the point is that we have the boyfriend who's kind of dumb as a brick, and basically his defining trait is that he leads to a snowmobile chase. That's about it.
Mhm.
You know, that's the thing. Like I have to come up break where okay, maybe he doesn't know what gum she chews because again, he's not as dialed in things as Hal. So I can't be too harsh on him there. But again, like simple things like the color of the girl's eyes, like just one thing about the girl outside of like it's like he's got nothing. Again, like the whole I'm trying to remember like that one thing that he knows about her, but he barely knows anything about the girl that he's with. Like there's no heart. And of course later on it's like, remember when I got you that whale charm? And it's like, well, really now you remember, you doofus. God, this guy's just a schmuck. He's a dope.
Hmm. I'm looking in the credits and I'm seeing there's a Chad and a Chet.
Well, again, I told you there's Chad's the rival weatherman, Chet's the friend with the hat and the snowballs.
Oh, okay, so it's neither one of them. Okay, is it would it be Chuck then?
I believe.
Chuck
Oh, it is
Wheeler?
Chuck. It's Chuck. It's Chuck. That's the guy. That's what I was thinking of. That's the C name. Yeah.
Okay. All right, there you go.
That's the. I had a thought when I was. I swear to guys, I had a thought when I was watching, and I was, or it was like I was thinking like the classic, the Chucks from Better Call Saul. That's why.
Oh God.
Because I was thinking like I thought it was Chad. I thought I was convinced he was going to be Chad. And I was like, no, he's not Chad, but Chuck. Hey, it's like the anyway. But you see what I'm saying? The point is, yeah, this guy's just really. Point is, like you kind of see where Hal's coming from in the relationship. You kind of Hal definitely has an in where this guy barely knows the girl, and he's the guy. He broke up with the girlfriend. Therefore, this guy has no claim over this girl. Not that he should have any claim in the first place, but he's just like, okay, why is she letting him in the house and eating cereal? And it's just ridiculous. I don't know, like, boyfriend stuff is, I think, is just so like it's plot device for like, okay, we're gonna have a snowmobile chase later, and we have to have him somewhat possessive and in the story.
Right. Not great for sure.
Oh, it is not. And yet again, our story peters out after the ending to Act Two. Again, our kind of our low of lows here, where we have Lane, the girl, the girl Friday, who apparently is more like a girlfriend than a girl Friday, with basically a Hal's friend through the piece. She kisses him, and that's again the story kind of peters out, where again he doesn't make the realization of like, oh god, like, he just stands there like an idiot. We're like, okay, she kissed me, I should say something. No, he just lets it lie, and then he goes to the other girls. Again, it's like now there's gonna be a run to an airport somewhere. That's what's next. So, yeah, I mean, let me put one last thing we should mention with Hal. One redeeming thing is that I like the gestures. I do like the gestures that he makes. Again, they're kind of coming from a bit of an obsessive place on a second view, where you're really kind of like it's occurring to, it's a little too, little fixated. I'll admit, wouldn't fly that well today, as we kind of been getting at here. But again, like he's making his feelings clear to a girl on live TV, kind of found it in like this stuff we would look back on, we'd be like, oh man, that's kind of nice. And again, whether I know it was the wrong animal, but who it's like my favorite, I gotta admit, that zebra gag is kind of funny. It's ridiculous, but it's kind of funny though. But my favorite animal is a zebra. Wait, what?
No, that was probably my favorite moment of the whole thing because it is it's kind of a nice subversion of expectations in a way.
Exactly. So like that, and the whole changing the song that plays, dedicating it to her. Like again, the moves that I like, the moves that he's making. It's just again, it feels a lot like why he's not talking directly to her. He's doing all this stuff.
Uh-huh. Shoot, sorry.
Anywho. Okay, let's move on from Hal then.
Okay, so yeah, the parents and also Dragon, we're approaching the hour mark, so we need to kind of wrap this up pretty quickly.
Gotcha.
Um, I honestly admit that I like the mother storyline quite a bit. Like, she doesn't have a lot to do, but it's a very sweet kind of like mother son bonding by the end of it. You know, just the whole like the mother. It's basically like a more likable version of Charlotte. You know, Charlotte Pickles.
Well, yeah, remember, she's played by a wonderful actress. This Laura here is played by Jean Smart. Now, Jean Smart, she has wonderful credits to her name. She's Ann Possible from the Kim Possible. I mean, basically, she's played a number of moms. She's played countless moms, Tiki. She's played Ann Possible, Kim Possible's mother. She's played Helen. She was in Batman the Animated Series, for one. She was in the Invisible episode, remember the whole See No Evil episode? She was the mother to the girl. She was Helen Vendrix.
Mm-hmm.
She was Richie's mom in Static Shock. Point being, a lot of moms, just good casting there. I like the dollar bet gag. I think that was probably one of the great scenes with her there. They're betting like $1 she won't be able to stay off her phone. I'm sorry. I'm now realizing, Tiki, that Charlotte comparison is right on the money. It's perfect with the workaholic mom, cell phone, everything. And that's the thing, like that's what and it's kind of occurred to me with the whole dollar bet gag, where it's just like, oh yeah, they know she's not going to be able to resist answering that phone. It's like tosses the bill at him and crumple up. Yeah, and she's playing it very well, and it's a very simple thing of like mother is stopped in her tracks. She's literally snowed in. That's one of the great shots of the movie too. It's just like completely snowed in the garage. She has no way to get to her big office. So she asked us to stay home with the kid, and she kind of with Randy, who again, let's just abridge it by saying Randy, not the best actor. Sorry, kid, hate to break your heart, not the best actor.
I mean, you know, he's fine for what he is. I don't think he's terrible.
Sure, it's I gotta admit, a little weird, you know, like with the whole banging his head in the lunchbox, just kind of running out, just covered in paint. It's a little weird, but it's a kid, so I don't know. I don't know. I love the Miss Huffner gag, by the way. I love like basically comparing the teacher's prowess to the parent, making her feel inferior. It's just quite funny. Snowplow.
Like I said, I do like how it wraps up with the snowball fight. It's really nice. It's a good kind of like, you know, kind of grounded Charlotte Pickles, if you will.
Absolutely wonderful moment. Also, a little footnote: the Snowplowman gag is hysterical. The Snowplowman is genuinely terrified by the kid covered in paint just running out there like he's a tribesman. Okay, let's talk about this one's going to go real fast. I want to talk about probably some of my favorite stuff in the movie. The father character, Tom Branson, played by the wonderful Chevy Chase.
I totally forgot Chevy Chase was in this until I gave it a rewatch.
I've always known Chevy's in this movie, man. I love me some Chevy Chase when done right. And here's the thing, Chevy Chase, he is, I'd say he's arguably the best part of the movie. And of course, whether you love or hate Chevy Chase, here's the thing, some people
quintessential '90s dad, I think.
In a sense, even though
in
again,
this movie specifically.
That's the thing. He's really he's kind of a dad on film. That's the thing. It's like rarely will you see Chevy Chase kind of playing a father on TV. But I know this is also a film. I'm just saying, like in terms of like when you think TV, usually when you think dads, you usually think TV dads. It's kind of like the rare exception that Chevy Chase has in the homes of cinematic history. One could say with those vacation movies. You know, he's always imprinted as America's dad. Crazy
sure.
When pushed to the brink, but America's dad nonetheless. And whether you love or hate Chevy Chase, because you hear he's difficult to work with sometimes, but he brings it, man. Chase brings gold. Like he even if you get a sense that he may not care about the role, he brings it though, because that's just Chase magic going on there.
And of course, he does have a very iconic kind of fixture role within the realm of a weather-based movie. He is the weatherman. That is very much something that you need to have in a movie like this, and he plays it really well. He's got some really fun sort of like slapstick moments. He's got a fun rivalry with the other weatherman.
Yeah, his stuff I felt held up best in the whole film. As much as I love the Snowplowman stuff, hey, short of Snowplowman,
the Snowplowman, the only thing that doesn't hold up is the Josh Peck farts mostly.
Exactly. I do, however, love that Josh Peck was just kind of like tied to the front of the snowplow. That was pretty hysterical. Again, would have blended better without the fart jokes, but it was a great visual. Anyway, but yeah, this thing, like the Weatherman stuff, I think is the most like story-wise, is probably the best stuff going on here. Basically, it's a really clever gag where he's a weatherman who's stuck with ratings gimmicks, where he's always wearing a silly costume. He just feels kind of like he's not taken seriously. He's wearing hula skirts and the old '40s bathing suit during the hot weather, and of course he's dressed like a snowman, Jack Frost. It's really it's really fun. It's a really great slant for a weatherman, I thought. And there is one ridiculous. Here's the thing: there's a pointless. His motivation's kind of pointless in that, like, who called the weather first. I don't know. I don't know how a weatherman gets credit for calling the weather first. If I'm being frank, I don't know. Like, we're kind of playing with like the acclaim of one weatherman versus like with the whole rivalry in itself between Chad. Again, yet another bad guy named Chad in a movie, especially a movie marketed to kids. But that's the thing. Like, I do love, however, and while it may not make the most sense looking back on it, I do love Tom challenging his rival with the basic question: how do you make snow? And that's his undoing. I love it. Simple as it is, it's just great. And just you see this guy, he's just been like BSing his whole way. This guy's like keeping him down. Like, I called the weather first. It's like, did you now? What's snow made out of? it's like, how was snow made? I guess being like whole cloud of it all. So cool dad gives some good wisdom in that earlier scene with the with Natalie. It's he can also, I love how I want to emphasize the cool dad thing because he gives Hal a break. Remember, because Hal just kind of hijacks his program and everything. He's cool about it. It's really nice. Chevy Chase is really nice about the whole thing. So
yeah.
All right, and the crossover very.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The crossover, very simple, of course, would be like the brother and sister kind of reunite and kind of the big ending of the movie where they, I guess they kind of learn that basically they learned that they should have teamed up from the start, I guess, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Just we have the whole, they agree to hang out together the next day. That's a nice notion for them to end out on for their arc. It's a kind of, look, there's not a lot there when it comes to the brother and sister thing. It's just like, yeah, I was busy with my own girl drama when at the end of the day I should have been more focused on family and spending quality time with you. I don't know. That's maybe the message I got out of it.
Yeah, and they'd look out for each other. Again, she saves his bacon with the snowplow that she's stolen from the snowplow man.
Randomly it comes out like, wait, why do you have snowplow man's plow? What's going on?
Yeah, of course, because we kind of glazed over. We got to mention before we go out here. Of course, Snowplow Man, his undoing was that he was just kind of tied to like a children at play sign in the freezing cold as as children stole his snowplow. Very unsafe, but cool nonetheless. They steal it and they. He's left with his bird, presumably, because you hear it in the background. And and of course, they're going to undo some unplowing. Basically, he's undoing all his work for the day. So it was quite a clever solution. I was wondering how the heck, they've lost 8 ways of Sunday. How they win? It never occurred to me. Yeah, they could just push the snow back. It's going to be a little involved.
All that snow is still, it's like a lawnmower or something, all that snow, it's got to go somewhere.
Yeah, it's an excellent point. Again, he's never thought of. And of course,
realistically, I don't think you could, I think there's probably like a melting process or something. You probably couldn't. I'm not saying that snow isn't held in snowplows, but I'm saying you probably couldn't decorate a whole block. But it's a kids movie, it's like
exactly. It's like you have the whole black ice thing, the giant pot. Not black. I don't know if it was black ice, but the giant piles of the cruddy gray snow. You have to factor in the things too.
Right.
Of course, on the flip side too, we have the nice skating moment between Hal and Lane. Which, by the way, oh my god, the most charming moment with Hal in the whole movie. The one really great moment with Hal in the whole movie. I love the Snow Angel gag. The Snow Angel gag is really charming. It really is. Where she makes it's always like, you can never make the perfect snow because you always have to put your hand up to get up, and he helps her there. That's really classy. That's really good writing there. It's really nice. All right, so final thoughts. How you feel about it?
Yeah, I think this one held up a lot better than I kind of thought it would. I got to admit, Dragon, I don't have as much nostalgia for this thing as you do. I've only seen it once or twice. It wasn't on constant rotation as a kid or anything like that. But if anything, I remember the marketing more than I do the actual movie because, like we said, stuff like Snowplow Man and even that stupid Another Dumb Blonde song kind of resonate with me more than the movie itself does. But it's a really fun time, man. And maybe I'm just kind of coming at this oh god, Good Burger was really just that was something to sit through that movie. So this one, I had no problem sitting through this one at all. I enjoyed my time watching this one kind of every step of the way, in spite of some of its flaws. So I really enjoy it.
Yeah, yeah. Again, simply Snow Day better than Good Burger. It's not offensively bad. Just it's kind of a nostalgic footnote in a sense, and I mean that in a positive way. It's a nostalgic footnote in that it celebrates youth and yeah, some of the elements hold up better than others for sure. But I think at the end it's harmless with fun that cements it in kind of a. I think the fun cements itself within kind of a by the numbers story. So the fun stuff still remains fun. Then of course the by the numbers stuff, well, it just kind of remains like, yeah, we've kind of been there, done that. But again, it's not. It doesn't mean it's a bad performance. We've gone to the well so many times with it. So again, you kind of know where it's going. But yeah, it's April it is. Again, it's kind of in the whole fine category. Like, yeah, it's fine. That's about it.
All right.
So of course, Tiki, we gotta get ready for the next podcast. Okay, listen to me, Tiki.
Yeah, yeah.
Would you grab a typewriter, a deceptively deadly snake, and a bobblehead of the happiest elf, and meet me at Lousy Lane by the Giant Eye. Come on, Zippy!
Wait, Dragon, a typewriter? They don't even make typewriters. Dragon, if I have a snake, then it'll crawl all over the typewriter. And oh god, a bobblehead. That's a very specific bobblehead to get, Dragon. I don't know what we're gonna do with all these things. I'm so perplexed. Here it goes. Oh,
Nick, 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 Nick.
Nickelodeon.
Nickelodeon. Trudy.
Thought you were. Just hearing his name could make you wish you lived in Florida. He's just some creepy guy with a plow named Darling Clementine. But to us, he's a snow day assassin. A man in serious need of a good flossing. Legend has it his tire chains are made from the braces of kids who didn't get out of his way. They say the only thing his heart really loves is his bird, Trudy.